Oh, so welcome to this class, and as usual, we'll start with three Omkars and then Shanti Mantra, little bit of silence, and then with Om Sahanavati, we start our discussion. Oh, oh, oh. ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः ॐ स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम तत्सत् हरि ओम तत्सत् हरि ओम तत्सत् ॐ सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम तत्सत् हरि ओम तत्सत् हरि ओम तत्सत्. So we have finished two chapters of Ashtavakra Gita, and today we are going to begin with the third chapter of Ashtavakra Gita. And unfortunately today that PDF is not there, so the stanzas will not come on the screen, but the text was sent to all of you, so I request you to keep the text in front of you so that when I read the shlokas, it will become more relevant to you. Whenever the stanzas are there, I will read it to you, so there will not be any problem. But it is better if you keep the text in front of you so that it will become more relevant to you. So, in the first chapter, Ashtavakra explains the powerful Ajatavada Siddhanta. The crest of Advaita Siddhanta is Ajatavada, the theory of non-origination. And the sum and substance of the opening chapter is that you are ever pure Atman. Nishkriyosi, Nischalosi, Tvam Swayam Prakasho Niranjanaha, Ayameva Hite Bandhaha, Samadhim Anutishtasi. That is what Ashtavakra has told. That really speaking, you are actionless, you are motionless, you are self-effulgent, Swayam Prakasho. You are blemishless, Niranjanaha. You are very pure. What is your bondage? Ayameva hite bandha, very striking. What is your bondage? Samadhim anutishtasi. You have desire for samadhi, that you feel that you have to practice samadhi, you have to practice yoga, you have to do sadhana, and then alone you will be free. Actually, this thought itself is your bondage, because the thought of samadhi presupposes bondage. If you are in bondage only, you will think about samadhi. You are not in bondage at all. You are ever free. This is Ajatavada Siddhanta, which has been told. You are ever free. You are never in bondage. It is only the thinking process that you have to improve. If you think that you are in bondage, you are in bondage. If you think that you are free. Mukta bhimani mukto hi baddho baddha bhimanapi. Kim vadanti ha satyayam yamati sa gatir bhavet. A very beautiful verse which we learned in the first chapter. If you think you are free, mukta bhimani mukto hi. If you think that you are totally free, you are free. Baddho baddhabhimanyapi. If you think that you are in bondage, oh, I am in bondage of my body, I am bounded by my relatives, my house, by the world. If you think like that, you are in bondage. जैसी आपकी सोच होती है वैसे ही आप होते हो. किम वदंती है सत्य हम. This proverb, किम वदंती means the proverb, या मति सा गतिर भवेत. जैसी आपकी मति वैसी आपकी गति. जैसी आपकी सोच वैसे आप हो जाते हो. So if you think that you are free, you are free. That's all. And what actually Ashtavakra is telling is, you have closed your eyes and you are crying that there is darkness everywhere, there is darkness everywhere. If you close your eyes, of course everything will be dark. What you need is only to open the eyes. That's it. That's it. Nothing else is necessary. You have kept the eyes closed and you are crying, everything is dark, you are not able to see anything, you are not able to walk properly, you fumble, you make so many mistakes. Why? Because the eyes are closed. Just open your eyes and everything will be clear to you. So this is what actually the import of the first chapter of Ashtavakra. He tells that you are free only. Don't ask me how to become free. You are already free. Now, having listened to that powerful advice, powerful words of Ashtavakra, we saw in the second chapter, Janaka has that enlightenment, you know. Now, for such enlightenment, both the Guru and the Shishya should be eligible for it. The Guru is very powerful. Therefore, his words itself are awakening type of words. It helps open the eyes for Janaka. He awakens instantaneously with the very powerful words which are uttered by the great Rishi. you know. Now we also listen to so many things. Now we have listened to Ashtavakra Gita, that we are ever free, we were never bound. Do we really awaken? Do we actually see the freedom? Or still we are in bondage? Why we are not awakening? Because we are not pure. Because the receiver that we are is not so sensitive. You know, Ash- Janaka Maharaj was a very sensitive receiver. Instantaneously he received the instructions. As soon as the instructions were received, he awakened, he was enlightened. You know, so Janaka has enlightenment and he describes his enlightenment. How he describes that, like, as soon as you open the eyes, suppose if a blind person who has never seen the world, by some operation, by some chance, if he is able to open his eyes and if he is able to see the world which he had never seen before, he had never seen before light, he had never seen before colors, he had never seen before the trees and the oceans and the sky. If that happens, the first thing will be tremendous wonder. My goodness, this is the world. So many colors, so many varieties, so much of light. My God, that will be the thing which will happen to any blind person. If he gets sight, the first thing is aho. That is why the second chapter, it opens with the word aho, the state of wonder, which he says. And then he declares in the second chapter, as we have seen, that, oh my goodness, I am already free. How I was in bondage all the time, why I was in bondage all the time. Aho niranjana shanto bodhoham prakrute paraha. The first stanza of the second chapter is Aho niranjana shanto. Oh my goodness, my God, such a wonder. Don't have any blemish, I don't have any bondage at all. I am so calm and quiet. Bodhoham, I am enlightened. Prakrute paraha. I am beyond Prakriti. I don't have any bondages of Prakriti at all. Aho niranjana shanto bodhoham prakrute paraha etavanta aham kalam moheneva vidambita. Oh my God, up till now, it is only because of infatuation, moha. It is only because of ignorance that I was thinking myself in bondage. I was dehypnotized. There was a kind of hypnotic spell which made me think that I am in bondage, I am ignorant, I am suffering, I am body. All this was a kind of self hypnotism which I had. Now I am dehypnotized and I see for myself I am totally, I am like an ocean of consciousness. Aho niranjana shanto bodhoham prakrute paraha. Etavanta aham kalam moheneva midamta. Up till now, I have wasted my life in thinking that I am in bondage, I am in body, I am a human being, the world binds me. I have wasted my time. What a great tragedy which I have done. So this is what he sees. And then he sees that actually speaking, he sees unity in diversity. He sees that he is ocean of consciousness. Everything is one. There are no two. He sees ekata in anekata. He sees unity in diversity, in multiplicity. And then he sees that though he is ocean, there are waves in the ocean. If he identifies with the waves, what is the problem with us? The people who are not enlightened, the people who who are still in body consciousness, we identify with the waves, that is chitta vrittis, and therefore we feel that we are in bondage. The reality is water. It is only water everywhere. If we identify with the water, we are the infinite ocean. We are the infinite consciousness. If we identify with the waves, we see multiplicity, we see individuality, we see अनेकता में एकता या एकता में अनेकता. That is the thing. That is the difference between the enlightened person and ourselves. So this is what actually he experiences. He experiences that he is the ocean of consciousness. Everything is one. So after this second chapter, really speaking, Ashtavakra Gita should have been over. Hmm. The Guru has given the advice. The Shishya has received the advice. He is enlightened being. He declares that he is enlightened. Ashtavakra Gita should have been over. But then there is a third chapter which we are going to begin today. Okay. So why? Because sage Ashtavakra wants to confirm that whatever he has realized is really true, or it is another kind of hypnotism, another kind of hypnotic spell, that he feels that he is enlightened being. He might have got experience, he might have got a glimpse of reality, but when he comes back from the state of super consciousness to body consciousness, does it remain as it is? Now, this is a very crucial thing which Ashtavakra Gita is telling. For all of us who are on the path of spirituality, it is possible. It is quite possible. There are so many sadhakas who go into the state of meditation, and maybe in presence of a great guru like Ashtavakra, you may really feel that you are enlightened, that everything is one. You feel the ocean of consciousness. But when you come to Vyavaharika Satta, as Shankaracharya would tell, the state of consciousness remains for some time and you come back to body consciousness. You see the world again, you see the relationship again, you may feel the bondages again. So whether the state of super consciousness is a continuous state, a constant state, or is it only a temporary state where he had a glimpse of the reality? That is what Ashtavakra wants to confirm. And therefore, in the third chapter, very sharp questions have been asked by Ashtavakra to Janaka to confirm his enlightenment. You know, now there is a very beautiful story uh, in uh, uh, in our system. You know, in Pandharpur, there were so many saints in Pandharpur. You know, uh, Ishwara Nishthanchi Mandiyadi. That is what Dhaneshwara writes. Nivrutti, Jnandev, Sopan, Muktabai, Ekanath Namdev, Tukaram, then Chokha Mela, then Kano Patra, and Gora Kumbha, and so many of them at one point of time, they were all enlightened beings. And even Santa Namdev, a very great name, he was enlightened being. Santa Namdev, he had he had seen the living God at Pandharpur, and he was so much excited with that. Every time he will go to Pandharpur temple, he will see the living God. He used to talk to him. He was so happy. He was on the crest of happiness, and because of that, he was never ready to leave Pandharpur. मेरे विठोबा को छोड़ के मैं कहीं भी नहीं जाऊंगा. That was the thing which was there with Santa Namdev, you know. So there was one incident which took place, which tells us why this third chapter is there in Ashtavakra Gita. You know, there was a conference of these realized souls at Pandharpur, and Gora Kumar was very enlightened being. He was a pot maker, Gora Kumar. Kumar means a pot maker, earthen pot maker. And the pot makers are expert in saying which pot is ready. कौन सा मटका पक्का हुआ है, कौन सा कच्चा है. हम्म, तो गोरा कुमार अपना अपने पास जो लकड़ी थी उसका प्रहार करके वो साउंड से पहचानता था कि ये मटका पक्का है, ये मटका कच्चा है. But it was not only about the earthen pots. He could tell about the people also, to what stage of maturity, spiritual maturity they have reached. So in that conference, the saints requested Gora Kumar to taste each and every saint to see whether their matka, this is matka, this head, you know, this is the matka. So they said that you with your uh, तुम्हारी जो जादुई लट्ठी है उसका प्रहार करो हर एक के सिर पर और बताओ कौन सा मटका पक्का है, कौन सा मटका कच्चा है. That means who has really realized completely, or somebody is halfway through. कितनी प्रगति हुई है? How much spiritual progress has been made by everybody? So Gora Kumar was really expert, and he went on striking everybody's head and telling that he has come up to this level, he has come up to this level, you know. And when he hit Namdev's head, he told that ये तो कच्चा मटका है, ये पक्का नहीं है अभी, ये कच्चा मटका है. It was a shock for Namdev, great shock. He did not fight or anybody because he knew that Gora Kumar is really a great person, and he didn't mean belittling नामदेव और उसका कुछ खच्चीकरण किया जाए, उसका अपमान किया जाए, उसकी वजह से नहीं किया है. उसने तो सच कहा जो उसने देखा, क्योंकि he was expert in that. यानी ये मटका कच्चा है, ये अभी पक्का नहीं हुआ है. So Sant Namdev, he ran to Vithoba temple, and he saw his Lord as a living deity in front of him. Lord was a living deity, and say, "My Lord, I am seeing you. मैं तो आपको देख रहा हूँ, मैं तो आपको जागृत अवस्था में देख रहा हूँ, बात कर रहा हूँ." और गोरा कुमार कहता है कि ये कच्चा मटका है, क्या मुझे ये साक्षात्कार हुआ है? वो पूरी पूरी तरह से नहीं हुआ है. हम्म, my my enlightenment is not complete. Something is lacking in me. Why does he say that this is unripe fellow? He is unripe fellow. Why did he say like that? Then Vithoba smiled at him and he said, precisely because you see me only in the temple. Hmm. मेरा साक्षात्कार मेरे मंदिर में आने के बाद ही तुझे होता है. क्या ये मंदिर मंदिर में am I limited to this temple? You can't see me outside. Why do you say that you will not leave Pandharpur at all? You don't want to leave your God. As if I am confined to this temple only. मुझे मर्यादित करना चाहते हो ये मंदिर में? क्या ये मंदिर के बाहर भी नहीं हूं? तो तुमको इसलिए वो कच्चा मटका कह रहा है कि तुम मुझे मंदिर के बाहर नहीं देख सकते हो, तुम ये जगत में नहीं मुझे देख पा रहे हो. जाओ, बाहर भी मुझे खोजो. जैसे मंदिर के अंदर मेरा साक्षात्कार हुआ है, जगत में भी मेरा साक्षात्कार करो. और वो तो आदेश था संत नामदेव के लिए, बहुत बड़ा आदेश था वो. और संत नामदेव उसी क्षण चल पड़े. And then he went to Rajasthan, he went to Punjab, and today, even today, if you go to Rajasthan, if you go to Punjab, remotest areas of Punjab and Rajasthan, you will find Sant Namdev's photos everywhere. And there were so many devotees of Sant Namdev in Rajasthan, and very much away from Pandharpur. He went and he spread the name of Lord, and he found. So now this is what actually Ashtavakra is meaning. Is possible to even see God, even to realize God and all that. But whether you see God everywhere or not, whether you see God in the word or not, ईशावास्यम idam sarvam यत्किंच जगत्याम जगत, ऐसी अनुभूति भी आपको आती है कि नहीं, यही देखना. That was one of the aspects of realization which he did. So now with that Adesh he goes, and therefore now we come to the third chapter. If you have, we shall start reading with the third chapter. So that is why, in order to confirm whether he has that realization or not, he asks many such questions to him, which should be asked by everybody to himself. Okay, so we begin with the third chapter with this little bit of introduction. So Ashtavakra again says, so in the first chapter, it was all Ashtavakra who was speaking. In the second chapter, it was King Janaka who was describing the state of enlightenment. Now in the third chapter, it is again Ashtavakra who is asking questions to Janaka Rishi, to Janaka Raja. And what he asks, the first shloka in the third chapter. अविनाशिनम आत्मानम एकम विज्ञाय तत्वतः तवात्म तवात्मज्ञस्य धीरस्य कथम अर्थार्जने रतिः. So अविनाशिनम आत्मानम एकम विज्ञाय तत्वतः. You have in principle, tatvata, in principle, you have got that knowledge of the immortal Atman. Avinashinam Atmanam Ekam. There is one without second. So Ashtavakra addresses to Janaka, O king, having realized immutable self as one without second. Avinashinam Atmanam Ekam. Vijnaya Tatvata. So in principle, you have understood that you are immutable self, one without second in its essence. तवात्मज्ञस्य धीरस्य. ऐसा आत्मज्ञानी तू हो चुका है, तुम धीर वीर पुरुष हो, यू आर एनलाइटेंड बीइंग, तुमका आत्मबोध हो चुका है. कथम अर्थार्जने रति. Then how is it that you have some sort of attraction for wealth or accumulation of wealth? Katham artharjane ratihi. How is it a wise man like you are tempted to accumulate wealth? Because King Janaka was a great king. There was a great uh, palace, and maybe his horn itself was made up of gold, and king is a very wealthy person. So have you got that attraction for the wealth even now after realization that you are only consciousness, one without second? तो अगर आत्मबोध हुआ है तो संपत्ति के आसक्ति कायम है क्या? अभी तक संपत्ति के प्रति जो आसक्ति है वो वैसी कायम है. Now this is something which we have to understand, and we see many spiritual centers, many ashrams, many beings who are really much higher than us. We can feel that because they are meditating always, they are doing so many rituals, they are involved in puja, bhajan. You can see some sort of, definitely they are uh, ahead of us, maybe, which will be, but they are so much attached to the ashram, the wealth of the ashram, you know, sampatti. And then you can also see that there is a tussle between the disciples as who गद्दी किसकी होगी. तो आश्रम के गद्दी पर कौन अभी बैठने वाला? Who is the next person? We remember that even in Shankaracharya Matham, the one Shankaracharya went to the court that actually I should be heading the ashram. ये गद्दी तो मेरी है, ये दूसरे ने छीन ली. Now a person who is enlightened one, who is in Atma Sthiti, why he will bother about who is first, who is second? The wealth of it, the ashram, attachment to the ashram itself. And then they say that, oh, this, of course, and you will say that they have so much of wealth, much more than the common people. Very rich life you will find in the ashrams. Not only in Indian ashrams, even in the foreign, you see the church, you see the mass, you see the mullah madhavis, you see all the spiritual people, how much attachment they have towards the wealth of the ashram. And then they do say, they try to convince themselves, it is not for ourselves, it is not mine, it is for the sake of people only. ये सब तो लोगों के लिए ही है. हम जो अर्जन कर रहे हैं, अर्थार्जन कर रहे हैं, हम जो डोनेशंस ले रहे हैं, मेरे लिए थोड़ा ही ले रहा हूं मैं, ये तो भगवान के लिए है, वो तो उसका प्रसाद, उसका प्रचार के लिए है. इन मेनी वेज they are deceiving themselves. That is what Ashtavakra feels. That is what many of the enlightened beings feel. तो बहुत सारे मठाधीशों के पास सर्वसामान्यों से बहुत अधिक संपत्ति होती है और सर्वसामान्यों से ऐसा लगता है कि बहुत ज्यादा आसक्ति भी होती है जो कुछ उनके पास है उसके प्रति. So they are so much worried about the wealth of the ashram, of the richness of the ashram, about the name of the ashram, about who is going to head the ashram. Now here we feel that there is something lacking in their realization. You know, a real sannyasi is not at all attached to anything. You know, Swami Vivekananda, when he was in the West, he he was actually very much inspired by the Western spirit of organization. And he at once understood that this is what India lacks, that there is no organization to spread the spiritual message everywhere. And therefore, he went on whirlwind tour of America and Europe and earned money and established Belur Mutt. And if you have not seen, you must see Belur Mutt. Very beautifully established Belur Mutt about more than 100 years before, 150 years before. He established it. And then when he went for the second tour of America, there was an epidemic. Just like we had corona type of thing, there was a great epidemic and thousands of people were dying. In Calcutta, thousands of people were dying. And Swamiji sent a message to his disciples in Belur Mutt and Guru Bhais in Belur Mutt that only spiritual practice which you should do today is to serve the sick. Go from house to house, give medicines, serve the sick people. This is the only spiritual practice you are going to do for some time. हाँ, जो बीमार है वो महामारी में जो मर रहे हैं उनकी सेवा करके उनको दवाइयाँ दे दो. So one of the disciples here and one of the Guru Bhais here, they send a message that all the money which we had has been exhausted now. We don't have money even for buying the medicines. So many people are falling sick. We don't have money to buy medicines at all. What is to be done now? Where from the money will come? Where from the medicine will come? Now you can see real sannyasi here. Swami Vivekananda sent a message from the West. Sell Belur Mutt. If there is no money, sell Belur Mutt and provide medicine. बेच दो बेलूर मठ. He had worked so hard to earn money to establish Belur Mutt. In 1 second, he sent a telegram, sell Belur Mutt if there is no money. But of course, his Western disciples gave money, money came, everything was all right, that's another thing. But this is how a real sannyasi is. Never cared for Belur Mutt, establishment of Belur Mutt. So that is what happens, you know. तो अष्टावक्र यही पूछ रहे हैं जनक महाराज को कि आत्मबोध होने के बाद भी तुम्हें अपने राजमहल के प्रति, स्वजनों के प्रति आस्था कायम है या नहीं. आस्था है तुम्हारी. अविनाशिनम आत्मानम एकम विज्ञाय तत्वतः. तत्व से तो तुमने जान लिए कि अविनाशी आत्मा, आई एम इमॉर्टल आत्मन, आई एम वन विदाउट सेकंड, आई एम इवन uh, uh, the most enlightened being, tattva, तत्वात्मज्ञस्य धीरस्य. I am an enlightened being. तत्व को मैंने जान लिया. कथम अर्जान अर्थार्जने रति. How is it that you are still attached to your palace, to the comforts of the palace, to the wealth of the palace? This is the question you have to ask yourself. You know, this is the question which is asked. Check whether you are attached to it or not. आत्मज्ञानात् अहो प्रीतिर विषय भ्रम गोचरे शुक्ते अज्ञानतो लोभो यथा रजत विभ्रमे. So the second sloka in this third chapter is Vishwam spurita yatredam tarangam iva sagare. No, second. I gave it to third. Hmm. Atmadhyanad aho pritihi. Vishaya brahma gochare. Atma adnyanad aho pritihi. It is because of the lack of self-realization. Atma adnyanat aho priti. Because of ignorance of the self. Atma adnyanat aho priti. There is attachment to illusory objects. Vishaya Brahma Gochare. Vishaya Brahma Gochare. Still you are attached to the object of the senses. How you are attached to the object? A very beautiful simile has been given, which was given earlier. Shukte अज्ञानतो लोभो यथा रजत विभ्रमे. छोटे छोटे बालक होते हैं ना, समुद्र के किनारे जाते हैं और शंख और सीपी इकट्ठा करते हैं, ये सोचते हुए कि वो चांदी है. We are deluded that there is silver in the mother of pearl. Okay, so how how you are accumulating the shells which have no value really speaking, but you are thinking that they are full of silver. Like that, even after enlightenment, do you feel the attraction towards wealth in the same way? Because of ignorance of the self, there is attachment to illusory objects of the senses. Just as ignorance goes on accumulating the seashells, thinking them to be silver. शुक्ते अज्ञान तो लोभो. अज्ञान के वजह से जो शंख होते हैं उनमें ही चांदी का आभास होता है. यथा रजत विभ्रमे. वो उसको एंड देन ही फील्स that he is becoming rich and more rich if he has more and more shells. So do you have such kind of thing? Check yourself, O Janaka. That is what Ashtavakra is telling him. Check yourself whether you have this delusion, and because of that you are accumulating wealth even now after realization. विश्वम स्फुरति यत्रेदम तरंगा इव सागरे सोहम अस्मीति विज्ञाय कम दीन एव धावसी. Just as waves arise in the ocean, Vishwam Spurati Yatredam. The universe is projected from the self. This is what you have seen yourself. You say that I am the ocean of consciousness. And the world is like the waves in the ocean. The world is projected from me only. विश्वम स्फुरति यत्रेदम तरंगा इव सागरे. जैसे सागर पर लहरें उठती है, सागर में लहरें उभरती है, वैसे मेरे ही हृदय सागर में ये जो तरंगे है यही तो विश्व है. मैं तो वो सागर हूँ. सोहम अस्मीति. आई एम दैट ओशन ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस. विज्ञाय, having understood that you are the ocean of consciousness, why you are identifying with the waves, why you are seeing the waves, kim dina iva dhavasi, why you are running about like a miserable man, dina iva dhavasi. Just as waves arise in ocean, the universe is projected from the self. You are the Atman, I am the Atman, I am the self. Soham asmiti, I am that. Soham asmiti, I am that. Having realized thus, why do you keep running about like a miserable creature? Kim dina iva dhavasi. Then why you have this misery in you? Why you are seeing misery? Why you are becoming misery? जिस प्रकार महासागर में लहरें उभरती है, उस प्रकार आत्मा से ही विश्व निर्माण होता है. ये अनुभव तुमने किया जनक महाराज, ये तो अनुभव आपने किया. और वही आत्मा मैं हूं, ये भी आपने जान लिया. ये जान लेने के बावजूद अब तुम हीन दीन जीव के समान क्यों इधर उधर घूम रहे हो? Why you are worried? So what Ashtavakra is asking. So these are really sharp questions to teach Janaka. to test whether that realization, whether he is remaining at the state of realization or does he come down. Ashtavakra asked Janaka, if you have realized that you are pure consciousness and whatever you perceive as word is only reflection of your own consciousness. Why we see multiplicity? What are those waves? Waves are disturbances in our consciousness. This is the theory in Ajatavada, that I am that supreme consciousness, one without second. The multiplicity because of the waves which are apparent in that consciousness. This is how the world is projected out of the same Atman. Hmm. Now, if I know that I am consciousness, how I will identify with the waves and have that individuality. If the individuality comes, the worry comes, the tension comes, then I become miserable. I become hina. Do you still feel the innumerable beings in the world are suffering? Do you have that compassion for the suffering of the people? Oh, the people are there, people, and I have to do something about that people. I have to help the people. विश्व के अंदर जो भी कुछ घटित हो रहा है वो सागर में उठती हुई लहरों की तरह है. Whatever is happening in the world, why you are perturbed with the incidences, with the events which are taking in the world. विश्व में अनेक घटनाएं घटती है. कुछ घटनाएं डरावनी जैसी लगती है, कुछ दुखदायक लगती है, कुछ मदहोश करने वाली लगती है. So this is what is happening to us. You know, our consciousness is disturbed by the events which are taking place in the world. So if there is a very great war going on, we are afraid. Anytime the bomb will. Now, what will be happening to people who are in Ukraine right now when bombardment is going on? Anytime I can die. They are so much connected with the world. This is डरावनी. ये बहुत सुनामी जैसी वेव है. I am afraid. I am tense. And there may be people who may be excited. किसी को लॉटरी लग गई तो वो नाचने लगता है. He identifies with that wave of excitement, wave of depression. Now, this is all happening outside. The question which Ashtavakra is asking is why you are identifying with the events of the world? Why do you feel compassion for the people who are suffering in the world? Why you feel excited when something goes in the world? जगत में जो घटनाएं घटती है उसके साथ कैसे अभी तक तुम जुड़े हुए हो, उसके साथ तुम्हारा अभी तक लगाव क्यों है, तुम ये सब देख के इतना हीन दीन क्यों हो चुके हो. Why do you get worried about what is happening in the world? Why you get perturbed by the calamities or excitements arising out of the so many events which are taking place around you? Why don't you realize that they are only the waves rising and falling? वो उदय व्यय स्वरूप है. जो भी कुछ घटित हो रहा है उदय वो अनित्य है. वो उदय व्यय स्वरूप है. They arise and they pass away. Why you are identifying yourself with those waves? You are the ocean. Soham asmiti vijnaya. When you have realized that you are ocean and you are not the waves, how is it that you are so kim deenam dhavasi? Why you are becoming miserable with the miseries of the world? श्रुत्वापि शुद्ध चैतन्यम आत्मानम अति सुंदरम उपस्थेत्य अति अंत संसक्तो मालिन्यम अधिगच्छति. श्रुत्वापि शुद्ध चैतन्यम. You have listened to me that you are शुद्ध चैतन्य. श्रुत्वापि शुद्ध चैतन्यम. You have listened that you are pure consciousness only. तुमने ये सुना है कि तुम सिद्ध चैतन्य हो. आत्मानम अति सुंदरम. You are pure consciousness. You are the self. Ati Sundaram, the most beautiful. आत्मा को तो सत्यम, शिवम, सुंदरम, द सुप्रीम रियलिटी has been described in our text as Satyam, it is truth, Shivam, it is pure, it is Sundaram, it is the most beautiful. What is beauty? Something to which we get attracted. Atma is the only attractive thing. Ati Sundaram. Shrutvapi Shuddha Chaitanyam Atmanam Ati Sundaram. ये अति सुंदर आत्मा की अनुभूति करने के बाद भी उपस्थे अंत्य संसक्तो मालिन्यम अधिगच्छति. Why you are attracted to small things, the sensual things, upasthe, that means the sensual things. How sensual? Even after hearing that self is pure consciousness, which is beauty unsurpassed, Ati Sundaram, how can one get attached to sensuous objects, upasthe, sensuous objects, and how he can become thus impure, मालिन्यम अधिगच्छति. तो आत्मा का वर्णन ही सत्यम, शिवम, सुंदरम ऐसा किया गया है. The most beautiful thing, the most attractive thing is Atman itself. Now you have enjoyed that Atman, that supreme reality. You have enjoyed that you are Shuddha Chaitanya. So, अभी क्षुद्र विषय सुख के प्रति तुम आकर्षित होकर खुद को मलिन कैसे कर सकता है? All the other attractions, the sensual attractions mainly, are so trivial. How can you degrade yourself with those trivial sensual attractions? So, हमें ऐसा ऐसा देखा जाता है कि गंदी नाली में जो कीड़ा होता है ना, वो गंदी नाले के कीड़े को अगर आप बाहर निकालो तो वो तड़पने लगता है. वो गंदगी गंदगी उसका जीवन है, गंदगी उसका स्वर्ग है. अगर वो गंदगी के बाहर निकाल दे, कीड़े को अगर बाहर निकाल के बाहर रखा ना, तड़पने लगेगा. If you release him back to the gutter, he will be very happy. Oh, now I am happy. वैसे ही सामान्य जीव इंद्रिय सुखों से अगर वंचित हो गया तो तड़पने लगता है. हम जैसे लोगों को, सर्वसामान्य लोगों को इंद्रिय सुख तो सब कुछ है. We run after the sensual pleasures. If there are no sensual pleasures, we get so much miserable. If there is nothing to do, I will say, oh, I don't know how to pass time, how to kill time. People say, I don't know how to kill the time because there is no sensual pleasure at all. तो सर्वसामान्य आदमी गंदी नाले के कीड़े के समान है जो अपने को मलिन ही करना चाहता है. He wants to, that dirt itself is happiness for him. लेकिन जो इंद्रियों के सुख के परे पहुंचा है, जिसने अतीन्द्रिय अनुभूति की है, वो अभी इंद्रियासक्त कैसा हो सकता है? हाउ कैन ही गेट एंगेज इन वेरी ट्राइवियल sensual experiences? How he can come down with those sensual experiences? So, क्योंकि राजा जनक अभी भी महल में रहता है. Now, why these questions have been asked by Ashtavakra to Janaka? Because Raja Janaka, after realization, he is still staying in that great palace जहाँ सारी सुख सुविधाएं है. So much of sensual comforts are everywhere. वहाँ सुंदर स्त्रियाएं हैं, पंच पकवान का भोज, सारे सुख उसके सामने तुरंत पैदा हो जाते हैं. जब भी वो चाहता है तुरंत मौजूद होते हैं. So is he now still interested in the gold, in the woman, in the tasty food? So इसलिए अष्टावक्र राजा जनक को सचेत कर रहे हैं कि देखो, विषय सुख से तुम मलिन तो नहीं हो रहे हो अभी भी. यू आर नॉट गेटिंग टेंटेड. मालिन्यम अधिगच्छति, क्या अभी भी ये इंद्रियों के आसक्ति से तुम मलिन हो रहे हो? खुद को देखो, क्योंकि पहले प्रकरण के दूसरे श्लोक में ही हमने देखा था कि व्हेन ही सेज दैट इफ यू वांट मुक्ति, इफ यू वांट लिबरेशन, मुक्ति मिच्छति चेता विषयान विषवत त्यज. The second sloka of the first chapter tells that if you want liberation, you have to get rid of all the sensual objects as if they are poison. विषयान विषवत त्यज. क्या अभी विषयों में तुमको विषय दिखाई दे रहा है या आसक्ति दिखाई दे रही है? टेस्ट योर सेल्फ. दैट इज व्हाट द a slight entangle with the sensual objects can bring down the person from the highest spiritual experience. That is the thing, you know. Now we go to the fifth shloka and then probably we'll stop. सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि मुनेर जानता आश्चर्यम ममत्वम अनुवर्तते. Sarvabhuteshu Chatmanam. So what you have told me, Janaka, that I am seeing Sarvabhuteshu Chatmanam. I am seeing myself in the whole existence. I am seeing myself in all the beings. Sarvabhuteshu Chatmanam. Sarvabhutani Chatmani. And all the beings in myself. I have reached that state of oneness. I have read that state of consciousness. That is what, Janaka, you told me. अष्टावक्र जनक को कह रहे कि आपने तो अभी कहा कि मेरी अभी ये स्थिति आ रही है कि सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानम सर्व सर्व सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि. These are actually lines which you read in Bhagavad Gita also. सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानम सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि ईक्षते योग युक्तात्मा सर्वत्र समदर्शनः. So in Bhagavad Gita also you find the same beautiful line. In Upanishads also you find the same line. When that realization takes place, the realized Rishi, he says the whole world in himself and himself in whole world. Isha vasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. That is what he says. Now, if that oneness is there, how can you be attracted to a particular thing? आप कैसे आकर्षित हो सकते हो कि सभी जगह आप ही हो? अपने तरफ ही आप थोड़े ही आकर्षित हो जाएंगे. हाँ? और ऐसा होने से वो आदमी मुनि हो जाता है. मुनेर जानत आश्चर्यम ममत्वम अनुवर्तते. ऐसा जो one who has gone to the state of this word muni is a very beautiful word. बड़ा है, बहुत ही प्यारा शब्द है मुनि. Muni means one who has attained to that silence after realization. One who has attained to that infinite silence after realization is known as Muni. जो मौन हो चुका है ज्ञान प्राप्ति के बाद, आत्मबोध प्राप्ति के बाद जो मौन हो चुका है उसको मुनि बोलते हैं. वो क्यों मौन हो चुका है? क्योंकि उसने अनुभूति ले रही कि सब कुछ मेरे अंदर ही है और मैं ही सभी जगह में हूं. सर्वभूतेषु चात्मानम सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि. मैं ही सारे अस्तित्व में हूं, मेरे सिवा अस्तित्व में कुछ भी नहीं है. राइट फ्रॉम द ब्लेड ऑफ ग्रास up to all, everywhere only I exist. Nothing except me is existing. This is the actual experience of a realized soul. And the whole existence I see in myself. पूरा विश्व मेरे अंदर है, मैं पूरे विश्व में हूं. ये जिसने जान लिया वो मौन ही जाता है, क्योंकि दूसरा है ही नहीं बात करने के लिए. He has gone to total silence and therefore muner janata. He becomes a mauni. He becomes silent. आश्चर्यम ममत्वम अनुवर्तते. अब ममत्व कैसा रहेगा? How this idea of me and mine will remain in a person who is seeing himself in the world and the whole world in himself, उसमें ये ममत्व कहाँ से आएगा? ममत्व, द आइडिया ऑफ मी एंड माइंड, सारे अस्तित्व में आत्मा है और आत्मा में सारे अस्तित्व है, यह सत्य जिसने जाना है उस मनी को, वो तो वैश्विक चेतना हो चुका है, उसकी तो वैयक्तिक चेतना रही नहीं, उसके अंदर तो हम जिसको अहंकार कहते हैं वो तो है ही नहीं. देर इज नो इंडिविजुअल कॉन्शियसनेस इन हिम. इफ देर इज नो इंडिविजुअल कॉन्शियसनेस, इफ देर इज नो ईगो, द आइडिया ऑफ मी एंड माइन हैज गॉन. It is only because of ego that we have this idea that this is me, this is mine. मैं और मेरा, ये किसको मालूम होता है? जिसके अंदर अहंकार है, जिसका अहंकार खत्म हो गया, जिसका अहंकार नाश हो गया, जिसकी चेतना वैश्विक चेतना हो गई, उसके अंदर ममत्व कैसा पैदा हो गया कि ये मेरा है? तो क्या अभी भी आपको ऐसा लगता है, ऋषि जनक, आपको ऐसा लगता है कि ये मेरा राज है, ये मेरी प्रजा है, इनकी जिम्मेदारी मेरे ऊपर है? नाउ एज ए किंग, जनका मस्ट बी फीलिंग द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द होल सब्जेक्ट. दीज आर माय सब्जेक्ट, दिस इज माय किंगडम, आई हैव टू प्रोटेक्ट माय सब्जेक्ट. दिस इज ऑल्सो आइडिया ऑफ मी एंड माइन. This idea will be there. If the tinge of ego has remained, the idea of me and mine will remain. Mamatva, Ascharya Mamatva Anuvartate. It will be surprising if you are feeling this idea of me and mine. So how can this idea of me and mine will remain? क्या आपको अभी भी लगता है कि ये मेरा राज है, ये मेरी प्रजा है, इसकी जिम्मेदारी मेरे ऊपर है? So Ashtavakra wants to confirm whether King Janaka is thinking in terms of my kingdom, my subject, my treasury, or even my enemy. No such things are possible for a person who has reached the ultimate goal and become a muni, become silent. No such idea of me and mine should remain. Now this is the test which Ashtavakra is taking for Janaka. तो अष्टावक्र देख रहे हैं कि राजा जनक की स्थिति ऐसी हो गई है कि नहीं. सो सेज अष्टावक्र इज आस्किंग वेरी शार्प क्वेश्चन टू ascertain if the king Janaka is actually he has reached the state of self realization or not. Now these are the things which are very sharp, which are to be understood by all of us, and this is a kind of warning because there are so many very good sadhakas, they have the glimpse of realization, and therefore they feel that yes, I see the, I have seen God, I feel the presence of God. But at the same time, when the calamities come, they get perturbed. If the death is in front of them, they get perturbed. The first thing which should happen is there cannot be any fear in him. Even the fear of death will not. Even मृत्यु का सामना करते हुए भी जरा सा भी भय उनको नहीं लगेगा अगर ममत्व चला गया, क्योंकि मैं शरीर हूं, ये भी भाव चला जाता है. मेरे शरीर के पर भी मेरा ममत्व नहीं रहता है. सो these are the tests which are to be given by a person who feels that the self-realization has come. So in the first chapter, the advice was given. In the second chapter, Janaka has described the state of enlightenment in so many ways that I am the ocean. I feel the infinite consciousness in me. Now in the third chapter, he has started asking very sharp, very penetrating questions, very teasing questions to Janaka, so that he will test himself. It is not to belittle him, वो अपमानित नहीं करना चाहते जनक ऋषि को, लेकिन जागरूक करना चाहते हैं. He has to taste it. Everybody has to taste. There is nobody, no force from outside which will test us. These are the tests for all ourselves. Okay. So that is why these sharp questions have been asked by Ashtavakra to Janaka. So we'll continue with this chapter 3 even next time. Now I will start with the prayer, but if there is time and if there are questions or if there are observations, you are most welcome to have your observations about it, ask questions about it, discuss about it after the prayer. Om asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat.